New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life, it's free. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Oh, sorry.
And welcome to the very live show of Girls Behaving Metaphysically. That is my partner, Dr. Natasha Wilson, singing along.
Yes, it's such a great song.
And I'm Robin Rice Olmsted. And here we are, being metaphysical girls.
Yes.
So welcome. So just in case you don't know, I am in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I myself hardly know. I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where we're expecting a storm. I'm such a California girl, I have to say, but Natasha is in Brisbane, Australia.
Yeah.
But,
we're expecting a storm too, actually.
But I didn't know. I mean, I'm like, I don't know. I go out in my sandals and my, turtleneck all the time. It's like, and then like I go today to the chiropractor and they're like, is it cloudy out there? I'm like, no. I mean, this looks normal. They're like, okay, the snow's coming. It's not supposed to hit till tomorrow. And somebody else's mother isn't coming for their wedding dress fitting because it's going to snow. I'm like, okay, it's tiny snow. Okay, here comes the snow report.
Yes, from the International Weather Service. I'm meteorologist Michael Mangus for the Weather Channel. Yeah, we're supposed to get here in Ohio. We're supposed to get anywhere between, in our area, we're supposed to get anywhere between 6 and 12 inches.
Wow.
Of white stuff. So yeah, this is not our typical snowstorm. This is a big one. So yeah. Are you guys so batten down the hatches and watch New Thought Media Network.
There you go.
Yeah, as long as you have internet connection, New Thought Media Network, because we've got all kinds of great stuff on the weekend. And if you can't go to church or they've called it off, hey, not a problem. On Sunday, we have well over 6 centers from around the country who hopefully will be having service either online or live. More likely the folks out west will be doing things, but yeah.
I did get an email from someone in Kentucky that their service is going to go online because of the snow.
Yes.
And yeah, so everywhere. I need some closed-toed shoes, though. I'm not equipped for
what
that.
now?
Some closed-toed shoes.
Why?
Because when it snows, one should not be wearing sandals.
Yeah, you're right.
And being from California, almost everything I have is like open-toed.
Well, okay. Well, you're going to experience most of the country will be experiencing white stuff. So,
okay.
And that's from our International Weather Service.
Thank you so much. Okay. So you see, here at Girls Behaving Metaphysically, we are hooked up. All we do is think about it, and our meteorologist appears. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I do not envy you guys. I remember living in Maine, living in Boston. I lived in Iowa. I lived in so many places that snowed. And now I live in a place that doesn't snow, and it's just really hot. So hot that when you turn on the cold water, it's scalding before it cools off. So totally.
And here it's exactly the opposite. It's we turn on the hot water and it's icy for like 5 minutes. Yeah. It's craziness. So if you're out there listening, let us know where you are and what the temperature is, so that we can send you good vibes for melting snow and safe journeys and all those good things.
All those good things. How's your week been, Robin?
Fine, good. I don't know. I went to the chiropractor today, and she said, "How's your weekend?" And I was like, "My weekend." And then, like at one point, I went, "It's Thursday," because she kept asking me weekend questions. She's like, "Oh my God, it's Thursday! It's almost time for another one." It's like I don't know. Like everybody's in this no space zone. Like nobody really knows what time it is. Which is okay, that's usually where I live, but they're throwing me off. So my week is fine. It's good. Nothing to write home about. I mean, I think here for the next 6 weeks, we're just on a intentional drive for everything going on because there's a lot going on with Gill Center. They're moving and, so I'm just trying to balance and still make sure I have enough oxygen for me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to suss that out because I'm not always so good at that.
Yeah. Oxygen mask on first. Oxygen mask on first.
How about you? How's your week?
Yeah, my week has been interesting given the work that I do and given the stuff that's happening in the US politically. And it's really been like I've just, my week has been holding a lot of space for a lot of people who feel frightened. And so, it's been a week. What I will say is, because I can find humor in most things, because I don't know, that's just what I can do. I was just thinking, like, typically, in turn, like, I don't have like medical issues typically, but I do have a tendency to have higher blood pressure. And so my goal this year was like, I am going to get on top of my blood pressure. I am going to get to the place where I can come off the medications. I don't, blah, blah, blah. And then like I told you this morning, now my blood pressure too low. I'm like, man, can I stop overachieving at everything?
At anything? That's funny.
I was like, can I stop? Now I'm sitting here waiting for a call from my doctor to be like, okay, what do I do? It's too low.
That's funny.
Oh, goodness.
That's interesting. I mean, it's great that you phrased it that way.
I know. I just had to think about it. I was like, Natasha, like, can you do anything just right in the middle? Like mediocre,
The answer may be no.
Clearly.
And that is why we do a card pull of the week.
Yes.
To guide us all our way.
Do you have cards this week, or did you want
me? I'm shuffling as we speak.
Okay, so I will.
We're pulling today from the Sacred Travel Oracle cards.
Sacred Travel Oracle. Okay. When you're ready, please stop.
Mystic Healer. Mystic Healer. All right. Let's see what this Mystic Healer is trying to tell us. Healing energy flows through you. All right. I believe. Is that all that's good? Well, that's all it says there. Let me see what I can find here. Mystic Healer. Interesting, because I'm starting a class tonight. Gil and Sunshine Michelle Coleman are teaching a class and together on Zoom. And we were talking yesterday about everybody, being a mystic,
Hmm.
being a mystic. And
Hmm.
so for me, what comes up first is just that, that we are mystic healers, and that healing energy flows through us. And so especially with you talking about your blood pressure, I mean, like you said, you, you got to be careful what you ask for and how you ask for it, right? So here
Really.
it says, card meaning inner and outer healing on all levels is occurring in your life. A situation, relationship, or physical challenge is being resolved. Have faith that it's happening. This is
Hmm.
the time to find the source of challenges. Transform inner grievances. Do it now. You no longer need to carry it with you. You are a healing force for others, even if you're not aware of it.
Hmm.
Then it says, the sacred traveler wants you to know these are times when the traveler steps off the path to search for the mystic healer. The healer instructs that everything in nature has the intrinsic ability to restore itself, and reminds you that you also have the powerful ability within
Hmm.
you, within you. For healing to occur on the outside, it's essential for healing to occur on the inner planes. To
Hmm.
do this, meditate by visualizing a beautiful, vital future for yourself, and trust that recovery is on the way. Past
Hmm.
life issues may be emerging in order to be released. Mystic healers are working with you to resolve emotional and physical challenges. Be patient and have faith that beneath the surface all is well.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Hmm. Interesting. I walked out of the chiropractor today and I was like, and I always kind of just examine how my body feels better. And then I had this moment where I was like, I just want to come back in. I want to walk back in to my next appointment and be like, I am good. And have everything that is out of alignment or whatever be like totally healed. So
Hmm.
interesting that the card came up.
Hmm. Hmm.
How about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still sort of sitting with it because lately it's well, not lately. I think this is just how my brain is wired and how it works. I think I yes, I can feel what that means for myself on an individuated basis. And lately I am thinking so much more in a collective way, thinking about like how collectives heal, how structures heal, like not how they reform, but how they heal. And I feel like, one of the things that I've been saying a lot this week in my work is to my clients, right? Like, we have to focus on our wellness. Our wellness has to be at the center of our consciousness because the only way the system heals is if it's filled with people who are committed to their healing, to their wellness. And so when I hear the card, like I'm thinking about it like on like a structural and individuated level. Like this notion that somehow there's this separation between what's happening in the body politic is
Mhm.
different from what's happening in our individuated bodies, and it's not. You know? Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's where my mind is right now, and that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, and it just brings up for me when you said, even the part about, do I have to overachieve at everything? Because I think there's those places like that where you're really in tune with what's happening on a whole different level, and being in tune like that. I know, yesterday somebody was texting me that they were texting me about their toothache. I was asking them how it was. A few days later, and all of a sudden it just popped into my head. I was like, I'm putting my Louise Hay hat on, but who's on your nerves? You know, and she was like, I think that's exactly it, but I think I took care of it today and I started feeling better. And, it's just, it's interesting too. I did a sleep study a couple of weeks ago where I couldn't sleep, so they have to do another one. But
Hmm.
what they did glean from the little bit that I did sleep was that when I went to sleep, like, my oxygen would go down to like 77%.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so just like I said to you, whatever I said about coming up for oxygen, or, like really being able to breathe through these situations and not get smothered by what's going on for my husband or for my godkids or for my family, or,
Hmm.
because I take it on and then I'm like, oh my God, I can't get to my stuff.
Hmm.
So I think in some ways that's really part of the healer piece, right?
Hmm.
Is being able to kind of acknowledge and, yeah, move from there.
Acknowledge. Finish. You were saying like acknowledge what?
Acknowledge acknowledge how it correlates with our life.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's partially where the healing begins. You know.
I think it's the only place that it can begin. And I think, I don't know, like the more I live, the more I just experience life on, I don't know if it's life on planet Earth. Well, I've only been on planet Earth. Sometimes doesn't seem like it, but like life in this realm on planet Earth, the more I live, the more it's like I I settle into the paradoxical nature of existence, right? So it's like, again, we want, like, we want a world that works for everyone, right? I know that's what I want. And I know, like, that is not possible if I'm not prioritizing my oxygen mask, right? So it's like, for what I want to outpicture into the world, I have to be willing to practice that and give that to myself, and see that there is no disconnect between what I see out there and what is happening here, right? It seems
Mhm.
like it's separate, but again, that's I think that's it's like it's I know it's just one of those paradoxes that, like, I just sit with more and more, and also just embrace more and more. It's like when I look out at my garden and I see all these beautiful green lush, like, trees and bushes and plants. I know that that life is that life because there are also things in the ground that are decaying, that are fertilizing that lushness. It's like there's no, you know, it's the paradox. Like, we can't have this if we like without we can't have this lushness in this life without it living side by side with things that are dying. There's no separation. And the more we live into that and lean into that, it's like we see that there's no separation, period, in any of it. In order to have, like, I don't know, like luminous skin, we have to remove the dead skin cells somewhere. Like
Mhm.
it it's what am I saying? What we, whatever we experience out there has to we need to practice it in here if we want to see shifts. So
that it's all related, that it's
yeah,
all,
yeah. And
I
some of
mean,
it is
that's
so
the thing
practical.
about oneness.
Exactly. Yeah. It's often deeply paradoxical. And which is why, I don't know, it's curious that in our world, so many of us live at the poles, right? Like it's this or it's that. It's all good or it's all bad. Yeah, it's so interesting. So interesting.
Yes, this thing called life is so
Mm.
interesting. So, we're going to talk about something today. We're not sure what. We'll see what spirit wants to say through us. But before we do that, we're going to take a break. So, put your thinking cap on. If there's something you want us to talk about, throw it in the chat. And we'll be right back here in just a few minutes on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. New Thought Media Network proudly presents the Science of Mind Saturday Conversations. Learn more about the Science of Mind philosophy, faith, and way of life. Join our team of experts for a weekly deep dive discussion. Come study the science of mind, chapter by chapter, and resources from the Science of Mind archives. Plan to join us every Saturday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, only on the New Thought Media Network.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Yeah, welcome back to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I am Robin Rice Olmsted.
And I'm Dr. Natasha Wilson.
And I realize that this is really an awkward way to be sitting with my camera because my paintings look like they're in the fun house, like cricket on my wall. So I don't know how to make that better right now, but that's a little better, right? Okay, enough about me. So here we are, and we are going to talk about something. I know that one thing on our mind is everything that's going on in the world, which is no small subject. Did you have a thought?
I mean, honestly, I really feel like what I said, like what I've been saying sort of over and over, or I've said multiple times today with, not today, over the week with, like in my work with my clients, is how we must, like, how we really must focus on being well during this time. Because, we this is this really interesting inflection point in the history, not just of the United States, but also the world. And when we study history, which I think is a really good thing to do, by the way, study history, the more that we live in fear and worry, we already know stress, and chronic stress in particular makes us susceptible to illness and to being unwell. And so grounding ourselves really, like in our spiritual practice, remembering the truth, remembering that God is bigger than all of it, and not turning political systems into God, and remembering who and what we are, and grounding ourselves in that, is how we really effectuate the change we want to see in the world. And what I'm hearing from a lot of people is like they struggle and they feel like that's selfish. How can they, like turn the focus inward to prioritize their own wellness and healing when there's so much happening in their neighborhoods, outside their doors, and that it feels selfish to prioritize wellness. And I always say, it's like, what are you going to do if you're unwell? What happens then?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like between what you pulled for the card and sort of like what's been coming up thematically throughout my work week, which it is Friday here, so it is the weekend. I can't think about the weekend. Yeah, I just feel like it's so important in the times in which we're living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is important. I also think it's important to be able to balance some of that, of what's going on in the world through, like, the metaphysical lens, which um, invites a different way of seeing things, and looks beneath the surface of events into like deeper currents of consciousness, or what's moving through society. And I think it's kind of a balance, because it is hard to turn off the world if you're just going by appearances, and not get sucked into the injustice and the things that are wrong, and the things that just are beyond one's imagination at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like one of the things that I've been censoring in my practice this week is the practice of Tonglen, which is, based in this Buddhist philosophy that we don't turn away from the suffering, but we actually turn towards it, and we sort of breathe in the suffering, and we use our heart, we use our essence as the counterpoint, or as the point of transmutation. And so then when we breathe the breath back out, we're breathing out love and justice and kindness, like we're in compassion. We're breathing out what we want to see in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, in a lot of meditation practices, the breath is used sort of in the inverse, right? It's like breathe in the light and breathe in the calm, and then breathe out all the stress and all the, and so we're like, okay, let's really think about this, not just on a metaphysical level, but just also on a philosophical or on a practical level. Like, we are these individuated expressions of the divine, full of beautiful power that is God itself getting to know itself as the individuated beings we are. And so if we really practice that and believe it, then we can breathe in that suffering and use our light as a point of transmutation, use our divinity as a point of transmutation to breathe out into the world what it is we desire to see most. And so that's kind of been my anchor in practice, like over this week in particular, because I mean, I was getting like text messages from clients, like, who some are American, some are not, people who moved to this country, like physicians. And I'm thinking about the people that make up my clientele. I see lots of physicians, and these people being afraid to go to work when they came here in particular to serve medically underserved populations, and now they are afraid to go to work, and so yeah, I don't want to be breathing out the stress and the chaos and the whatever. I want to breathe it in, and I want to transform it, and I want to be well. And I'm like, yeah, if people talk about political resistance, I'm not really into concepts like resistance because I don't like how it feels in my body. However, for those that like such a concept, I feel like the ultimate act of resistance is being well right now.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would just add to it, I think a lot of people are trying to understand what's going on. And I'm not sure that that's possible, you know. And, if we were to look at it, I mean, metaphysically, in order to understand, in order to breathe it in on some level, you have to acknowledge what it is, and so I think like that's one of the things in, new thought, metaphysics, whatever you're calling this, is that, we look at it and clearly, there is, a collective energy that we're addressing. And it feels like a collective energy, like that's rising to the surface, that's, manifesting outwardly. I mean, you talk about it a lot in that it's been going on forever, and, whether it's racial tension or whether it's some other version or form of it, it's a collective, I don't know. It's somewhere in our collective, our what we call race consciousness, and it manifests outwardly. And it feels like, like a lot of people are saying, well, it has to come to this in order for it to be brought to the head, and to dissipate. I don't know that that's true. I don't know that I believe that, but clearly somehow this is the way we're choosing to do it.
I don't know if it has to be this way, but I think that there is something in the human psyche, again, like what I was saying earlier, is that like I feel like the older I get, the more I put the paradox without needing to sort of resolve it. Like I can lean into dissonance, right? And I can allow that dissonance to sort of look within, because it's not hard to understand what's going on. It's only hard to understand what's going on if we've been wearing blinders, or we've been, I don't know, believing that somehow we're separate from different parts of the human population or separate from the planet. Like, okay, this, like what we're seeing is what happens when human beings really believe that we're separate, that we're different, that we're not all on the same big mothership called Earth. And so we sink or swim together. So this us, this them sort of, I feel like we're getting this opportunity to sort of like look within on a deeper level, right? So where does this stuff live in the stuff that we're seeing in what I call the body politic, race consciousness, whatever? Even the fact that we still collectively believe that something called race is a real thing, right? Which we know this thing, even called race, was literally created by these pseudoscientists to justify colonization and enslavement and extraction of resources from places that mostly European people are not from.
Right.
So it was created, and it's like we can't even see yet collectively that what we're living out is the consequence of what happens when we believe that things like race are like is real. It's not real. The racism is real because we believe in race, right? And race means like there's a hierarchy in terms of humanity.
Well, and I wouldn't even, I mean, yes, I hear you, and I wouldn't even break it down to race. It's, I mean, so much of it is just fear in general, a
All
societal
of it.
fear.
I mean, it's one example.
Right. Fear of change, fear of the other, fear of instability, fear of, hierarchy, rich, poor, whatever, all of those things.
Yeah, we like to live at the poles. And the fact that we believe that there is an actual other
Right.
that somehow is not also us. And unfortunately, I remember my grandma, my paternal grandma, before she had Alzheimer's, and even the night she would just drop these little nuggets that have lived with me for a very long time. She used to say, it's gonna have to hit white people in the head for them to get that they're no different than us. Right. And yeah, for some reason that's because we live in systems that basically teach us not to think critically, not to ask, oh, why are things like this? Why do we organize our societies this way? And the fact is, like, so many people are so busy, especially in the United States. And I feel like I can say this now because I've been living here for so long. And there are so, look, Australia is rife with its own issues. This is not, I think this is a human condition. But one of the things that I do notice here in Australia, right, like there is at least a willingness to name things sometimes, right? Like, okay, we did really wrong by the indigenous population here. Okay, so there are what we would look at as forms of reparations to, like, so medically, there are incentives to sort of what's called close the gap around the medical stuff. There is a national day of they call it I don't know if they call it a national apology. I can't think of what it's called again. I don't know, but it's like there's an attempt to acknowledge it. And right now what's happening in the US, we've never done that. It's like it's gonna kill us to acknowledge that the wealth of the US was built on the backs of enslaved people. And like, why is that so hard? What is that going to do? Like, what is that going to kill you to really acknowledge that? And it means that we have to come face to face with some of our myths, right? Our myths of meritocracy. And we can make different choices. We can make different choices. And I think that is the thing that I think is powerful about the moment. I don't think it's hard to understand. I think it's going to call us to start to learn, like, being uncomfortable is not what's going to kill us.
Right.
You know, so and those of us in this who do this, you know, these us who see ourselves as mystics, I know I see myself in that way when it comes to a lot of things, that what is happening in the world is literally just an outpicturing of the things that live inside us that we need to give love and attention to.
Right. And so and it could be said that this is really just a call for a higher awareness on some level, to really the that all of these intense outer conditions and inner feelings are really, that it's and this is what people have said, it's signaling a threshold moment, right? This is where we're having the opportunity to push through it, and to the discomfort pushes people and communities to awaken to that oneness, and to compassion, and to solidarity, and to justice and equality, and, you know, spiritual courage, whatever it is. But it's a call, it's calling us forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's calling us forward, and that call does not look the same for everyone. And I think that's what everyone, I think, is being called right now, as we always are.
Yeah, everyone is being called. And yeah, I think that, I mean, clearly we may not all get the same message, but I think that at the end of the day, however you look at it, I think that part of the message is somehow like consciousness reorganizing itself toward greater unity, toward you know, a greater sense of being equal and just.
Yeah, yeah. And that's just it. Like, I think we're having to, like, I feel the otherness that we, you know, practice. I'm not just going to call it a belief. We practice otherness. Be right back.
Okay, she'll be right back, and Michael Mangus will step right in. And
Hello.
hi, I'm sure you have something to say about what we're talking about.
I think yes, and I think, you know, the whole idea of oneness, that the reason that we have the separation is because that, you know, we believe that we're different, and that you know, it doesn't, you know, is that I don't have a part in that. So let me see. Let's see if she's back. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just, I'll go ahead and finish the comment. So the whole idea of oneness, I think that that's, you know, seeing not that there's an other, but understanding that we are a part of that, and that we're also part of the healing then too. And I agree also with Dr. Natasha, is that we have to take care not only of ourselves, but also to be aware that if we don't take care of ourselves and work on our own stuff, that it will affect the we. So that's, I think that's a very and that I was reflecting upon this before I came on, the whole idea of you know, being in so-called dark times, is that we can, as a collective, we can either, again, let it burn us or let it purify us. So this is not, people say, well, this is, this is bad or evil. Yeah, well, and that those are times that we, as people who are aware, who are awake, that we are able then to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to let my light shine in this situation. I'm going to choose to love in this situation instead of hate. I'm going to choose to love my neighbor, as the master teacher Jesus said. I'm going to choose in this moment. So this, for me, I know that I can still feel my feelings. I can still do that, and I can also release those feelings, and also to allow then again a greater vision of, again, a world that does work for everyone. So that's my thought.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree with you both. I think that it's it is such an interesting balancing act though, between taking care of yourself, seeing what's going on out there, trying to make sense of it or not make sense of it, whatever people are trying to do. And so, I think that there's an invitation in there from the universe for something. I'm not sure what, but I think I do. I think, I mean, I was thinking about, so how do we go forward? How do we go forward, and how do we take care of ourselves? And part of taking care of ourselves is um, also being um, in congruency with what's going on in our body, right? And so I was thinking, like, how do we take care of ourselves, really? And I was thinking, well, maybe it's as easy sometimes as asking, where am I coming from? Where am I vibrating? What's the vibration I'm bringing to this situation? Just alone in that, like, yep, people are scared. People want to talk about it, or they don't want to talk about it, but whatever that energetic is. And it's like, so how can I contribute in a different way? How can I contribute instead of adding into the collective crazy or, worry or whatever it is? I think that it's a good question to ask yourself. What do you think?
Yeah. I think in part, I'm just thinking about like the work of Audre Lorde right now. I don't know, she's just coming into my mind. And okay, I'm thinking two things. Okay, my brain. I think this is kind of the ADHD part of my brain. So I got two things happening in my brain. I got Audre Lorde's like words in my head and her voice, and I also have the person who was in anthropology we say principal or key informant, but it's the person in a community that we connect with that helps us connect to the community where we may want to do research because they're a stakeholder or whatever the case might be. But I have his voice in my head, and one of the things that he said, and I'll never forget this, he said that the emotional signature of the West is denial. And then I'm hearing again in my head the voice of Audre Lorde, where she said how important it is that we name the it's. What's the it? Right now, what is the it? The multiple it's that we are looking at, that we are facing. And the two go together, because as long as we don't name fascism, as long as we don't name tyranny, as long as we don't name racism, as long as we don't name these things, it does allow us to be in that denial. But it doesn't protect us, and it doesn't protect people, our communities. It doesn't move us deeper into love. And this is not a time for spiritual bypassing. Right. This is a time where we have to look at what is happening head on, right, and name what it is and call for a different vision. And we can do that. And we can call for that different vision, and we can start it by living it in ourselves, right? And that's what I mean when I'm saying like this commitment to our wellness, this commitment to making sure our oxygen mask is on and secure. Mm-hmm. Because it's fundamental to changing the tyranny, the racism, the sexism that's out of control, like all of these things that we are facing in this collective moment without any, like we purposely have to close our eyes not to see what we see, not to close our ears, not to hear what we're hearing.
Right. Which is why I was trying to give practical something, like just to be conscious of, like, because where do I buy into this? Where do I get stuck in the story with somebody or whatever? So if we can go to that place of like, what am I contributing? What's the vibration I'm bringing? What am I amplifying? Am I embodying compassion? Am I reinforcing separation? Am I practicing oneness? Like, if I can know that on some level, then I can hold the higher vision, and holding the higher vision, it is encouraging us to imagine or to see or to know, a nation guided by wisdom rather than fear, or policies rooted in dignity and interconnectedness, communities that respond to fear with presence and compassion, like all of those things that we want to see. So that is the higher vision that we're inviting you into.
Yeah. And it's like asking ourselves on an individuated basis, like, what does that look like in my daily life? Right. So for me, it might be in the middle of the work that I'm doing. Make sure that I'm doing things like checking in with myself, moving my body, letting my feet touch the grass.
Drinking water. Right? Drinking water. Responding to your child with kindness, even when you don't want to. All those things, it's a consciousness, it's a consciousness.
Yeah. I always like the drop in the ocean metaphor, because like the collective is the ocean and we're all these drops. And so every time we drop into the ocean, compassion, it ripples out. Every time we drop into, so every time I'm kind to myself, right? Like even this morning, like laughing sort of just, like at the fact that like I am overachieving at blood pressure, right? Like even that is a drop in the collective ocean around, like through what levity does for us, right? Like it does the opposite of what stress hormones do, right? It doesn't mean that I'm not taking it serious, but yeah, when I look at, people, I remember a couple of weeks ago looking at like protesters in Oregon who were showing up in like frog suits and cat suits and furry suits and all these things. And I was like, there is this levity in there, and we need to like be able to embrace the levity and the seriousness, right? Like, so we got people in cosplay up against these people, these, systems of fear with their guns and all this other stuff. There's so many ways to live our wellness that doesn't require these really big gestures. Like you said, like responding to your child with kindness, responding to myself with kindness.
Your partner, your parents, any of that. There's so many tiny micro movements we can make in our lives that will outpicture and add to that higher vision. But our time is up.
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping and knowing is that you have gleaned something from this that will enable you to take that breath when you need to take that breath and move into that space of higher vision. And I think what I would like to leave this broadcast with is truly just knowing that as we collectively gather in this place at this time, and we are anchoring that love and that possibility and that equality, that the higher vision is truly being made manifest right here and right now. And so we just get out of the way and allow that to be.
Yes.
And so it is.
And so it is. And I have one thing I want to leave everyone with as well. It's a very little political challenge. Look in the mirror at yourself and say the most wonderful thing you can think of about yourself, and then live life from that place.
There you go. All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.
Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk. Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought, Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. And the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.